never get that out of your heads if that's what happened in school.
So good evening, everybody. A very good evening to everybody. And I have a very important announcement to make before we start the meeting. It is a matter of pride for Bayview to be hosting the Golden Heart CSR GGC Conclave, which is basically a virtual exhibition, one of its kind, never done before in the history of 3141. It's a virtual walkthrough exhibition where around all the clubs, most of the clubs of District 3141 are going to be displaying their projects. So about 100 plus projects are going to be displayed over here, and potential CSR partners, the corporates, are going to be visiting this exhibition. So there's going to be a plenary session which is going to be starting at 10:30. I request all of you all to please join it. And the plenary session should go on till I think around 11:30, quarter to 12, after which the exhibition is going to be open for everybody to visit. So the link of the Zoom session will be shared by me in some time. And the website also link I will be sharing in some time with all of you all. So we'll be exhibiting 4 of our projects in this exhibition. So we'll be exhibiting our St. Catherine's Home project, which is going to be our first global grant. Our St. Joseph project, which is our flagship project since 2018. Our community center, which we plan to start this year. It's going to be a medical and a vocational center. So we are going to be displaying that project as well. And also our rural project. So we plan to adopt the village of Kasatwadi. So we plan to exhibit that project also. And crossing our fingers to get some CSR funding in the exhibition as well. That's an important announcement I wanted to make to all of you. So let's start the exciting meeting for today evening. Can I have a basis to introduce Mr. Gupta?
Good evening, everybody. Hi, Mr. Sanjay Gupta.
Hey, Arvises, how are you, buddy?
Good.
Hi,
Have
Mr.
you
Gupta.
been?
It's been so long.
Yes, it's been years.
Years and
I haven't
years.
met you guys, nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we'll catch up soon.
Yep.
We will.
There you are.
So, for us, the brand Sanjay Gupta spells nostalgia for 2 reasons. Firstly, when I saw his movies, I was totally blown over by his suave and chic style of movie making, which was first of its style in Bollywood. Secondly, he is one of our very first few clients. He trusted us with designing of White Feather Films office. Mr. Gupta, I take this opportunity to thank you for your trust early back then when we still today treasure the lovely book you autographed and gifted us. It's still with us. Now I introduce the brand Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay Gupta founded White Feather Films, and since then he has produced over 10 films. Sanjay's career in the Indian film industry spans over 25 years, and it started with directing the cult film Atish for the legendary GP Sippy. Edgy, provocative, emotional, Sanjay's films explores themes of guilt and redemption, modern crime, mafia, gangsters, and even path-breaking innovations like Das Kahaniya, one of India's first short film-based feature film. Under White Feather Films, he has produced and directed works such as epic crime drama Kate and blockbuster Shootout at Wadala. He even started the highly successful Shootout franchisee with Shootout at Lokhandwala and followed it up with Shootout at Wadala. His last directorial film was Kabul with the Indian superstar Hrithik Roshan that crossed over 100 crores at the box office. Of what I have known him, he is a perfectionist and a warm-hearted person. So Bayview, here I welcome Mr. Gupta to take over the floor and rock the evening for us. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you, Arvises. That was very generous and very kind of you. And yes, even when I met you and we worked together way back in, I think, 2005,
Yeah.
You were still in, I'll never say you were in 2020, you were in 2019.
Yeah.
You don't want to mention 2020. You're always ahead of, And the work we did even back then, I can never forget it.
Thank you so much.
So yes, all yours.
All yours, Mr. Gupta. The platform is yours.
Yeah, so tell me, how do you want to do this? You want to just ask questions, we chat, or I don't know. It's
I think you can take it forward. You want to talk about your life journey or anything that's close to your heart, and then probably at the end we can leave about 5-10 minutes for a chat if everybody
no,
has.
I'd rather chat. I'd just talk a little, and then I'd rather open it, because it's more fun and it's more it's easier. I mean, just to talk about myself. I mean, what can I say? I come from an extremely humble background where my parents were divorced even before around the time I was born. So I've lived with my mother all my life. Everything. I was an exceptional student in school and college on everything except except my grades. So all the extracurricular activities and this and that and everything was always fantastic. So, and even in the 10th standard, I did not perform too well. I was barely at some 70% and was not getting admission anywhere. And one day this aunt of mine walks home and she just looks at me and she says, "So what are you doing these days?" I said, "I'm looking for admissions." So my mom said, "So admission ढूंढ रहा है, यहाँ वहाँ भटक रहा है." So she said, "हाँ तो मैं करा दूंगी ना, बोलो कहाँ करने का है." So I got a little pissed. Yeah, I was like, because here I was going from HR Sydney, so I did not even enter the gate. So those are like completely out of my league and all of that. So here I'm going everywhere. Even national college is looking difficult. And this chick just says, "Where do you want? I'll get it done." So I said, Sydney mein karne ka hai. So she said, "ठीक है, कल सुबह 11 बजे तैयार रहना." And I just ignored her. I went about my day. And the next morning, my mom told me, she said, "Why aren't you ready? She's going to come and take you." So I said, "Are you serious?" She's saying, "Of course I'm serious. She's going to come." And at 11 o'clock, the taxi pulls out my house. We used to stay on the ground floor off Linking Road in Khar. And she's there and she calls out to me. And my pet name was Munna. And she said, "Munna, Munna." And I just go running with my little file in my hand with the mark sheet and all. And she says, "Chalo." So I sat down in the car. I'm still wondering like what is happening. And the car goes and stops straight at Sachivale. And she takes me up over there and we walk up straight to outside the CM's office. And she tells them, she says, "Ante bolo, main Geeta ka pura ye." And in 2 minutes, the CM comes out. And we are taken in and she says, "Ye mera bhai hai, Sydney mein chahiye." So he said, "Wo letter kar do." And she said, "Nahi, tum phone karo abhi." I'm just looking at this exchange between them. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And from there, she took me straight to Sydney. And when we get to Sydney, we send in and the call was made and the principal came out. I think his name was Modak at that time. And he came out and, he received me and brought us in, gave me a cup of chai and all. And my papers were sent and it was just done. I was zapped. But that one chance encounter of that lady being at my house and me being there changed my life. Because I have studied in a very small school called Guru Harkrishan High School. It was very restricted, limited, all kids just from the neighborhood. And the school grew with us. When I was in the 2nd standard, the school was still the 3rd. We were the 2nd batch to pass out. So I had a very limited worldview. And I always laugh about it. I said, when I went to Sydney, that 8 mm became 70 mm. Because suddenly I was sitting next to kids, I was sitting next to students. The first friend I made was Rajiv Birla, who today owns the school that my kids go to, Ecole Mondiale. So, and of course, he was from the illustrious Birla family and this and that. So, suddenly I'm meeting these kids, who've been holidaying in the south of France. And I'd never I'd never gotten onto a flight in my life. So, yeah, but it just kind of opened floodgates. Yeah. And the rest, and then there was no looking back. And I was very clear about what I wanted to do. So even while I was in Sydney and I was studying, and as college used to be morning to 1 o'clock. Yeah. After that, you were on your own doing your stuff and everything. So that's when I went and met, I said, I wanted to work. And I met with Mr. Pankaj Parashar, who was that time a very hot and happening director. He was making Karamchand. I don't know how many of you remember Karamchand, the series. And I went and met him and I said, "Sir, I'd like to talk to you." He was like, "Yeah, what do you want?" So, and I was on my cycle. So I said, "Sir, I want to assist you. I want to work with you. I'll do whatever you tell me to do." He said, "What do you mean you'll do whatever you want me to do? What work do you want to do? What do you want to be?" I said, "I want to be like you. I want to become a director at, some point." And He said, okay, there, my brother's sitting over there, go talk to him. So I just walk up to the brother who's a little stoned in his own world. And I said, this is the thing. He says, yeah, we're shooting here tomorrow, you come over there. And I went to the shoot the next day, and that's it. It just started. The journey started even when I was in my FYJC. When in my 12th standard holidays, in the summer holidays, I went to Goa for 60 days. Luckily, it coincided exactly with the holidays, and we shot Jalwa over there. That was my first film as an assistant director. Luckily, what happened was, through the making of the film, my boss was a very, very difficult boss. He was a tough boss. So not many assistants would last. So I had the resilience, I lasted. And by the time I started as a clapper boy, and by the time the film released, my credit was chief assistant director. Because I literally worked every time there was no other assistant to do the job, I would do it. So, I mean, that happened. And I guess by the time I graduated, and around the same time, I put in 5 years of work as an assistant director. Because after Pankaj Parashar, I moved on to, Pankaj after Jalwa did not want to do films. He would only do commercials. And that is what I didn't want. I wanted to get into the commercial feature world. So then I switched jobs and I got a job with Raj Sippy and did a couple of films. And then after that, yeah, I guess a year or two after passing out, I managed to meet the Sippys for the work-related thing. I did the background score and the post-production for a film called Patthar Ke Phool that they were producing. And I think they got, his son, Vijay Sippy, got impressed and offered me a break. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to direct. And yeah, and that's how it kind of just happened. And while working for Raj Sippy, I used to meet Sanjay Dutt and we formed a nice little friendship. And then when I had my first break, I had my producer. So then I went to Sanju and I said, these were both equally big people. Sippy Films, GP Sippy was the biggest producer there was. And Sanjay Dutt was a superstar at the time. So I guess that made things a little easier. And and then we made this film called Atish, and the entire credit for that goes to Mr. Vijay Sippy, who was his son, who I consider like a professional father, because he really had a lot of faith and trust in me and never questioned me, nothing, not once, on it during the making of Atish, and just let me make my film the way I wanted to. And and then that's how it started. Yeah, and unfortunately, my next film with them was a film called Hamesha, which was with Saif Ali Khan, Kajol, and Aditya Pancholi. And it was the first time I was attempting a love story, but it was it was like a Hitchcockian love story. It had a thriller element and reincarnation and this and that. And by the time the film came out, unfortunately, as happens in Bollywood, in our industry, Saif and Aditya's market had really crashed. So when the film released, nobody went to see the film only. We always joke, ऐसे वो 12 बजे के show में लगी 3 बजे उतर गई, कुछ हुआ ही नहीं उसका. And then after that, it was very difficult for me because I always had ideas about films and making my films and presenting them that were a little, what people today say, ahead of its time. It was not ahead of its time. It was a little more radical because what was happening was mundane, it was mediocre, it was boring. But a lot of the producers wouldn't understand that. So when I would sit with the producers and say, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. So the next 2 films were very difficult. And then came a period I was just sitting at home for about 2 years, 2.5 years. And by then I'd gotten married, moved out. I was in my own house and I had to run my house. I had to run my mother's house. So things were really tough. And that is when I had this idea for Kante. Okay. And I'll tell you something very surprising. Till today, the world thinks Kante is copied from Reservoir Dogs. The fact is that I have not seen Reservoir Dogs. It's a very boring film. It at that time, it was just conversations between men and guys. But I loved the idea, which in itself was not original. It was from a Hong Kong film called City on Fire. So anyway, so I wanted to do Kante, that script, but I didn't want to do it with stars. I wanted to make my own film. I wanted to do it with newcomers. So I met Sanju and said, listen, yeah, I want to make this film. And it's just going to be with 6 new boys, and one Nasiruddin Shah playing and the older guy and this and that. And I just want you to present it so that I can find somebody to sell it to. So he said, yeah, fine, just wait. And then when he packed up, he said, let's drive home together. And we were driving with him. I was driving in his car. with him, and he told me, at least tell me what the film is about. And I told him what Kante was about. And when my narration ended, I still remember because we were coming from Goregaon, and I stay in Versova, he stays in Bandra, so we used to usually pull over after Jew Circle outside Mr. Bachchan's house, where the Jain temple is. And from there, I used to go back in my car, and he would go further. So he had stopped there. And he looked at me and he says, Goops, this is a great idea. I want to do the main role. So I said, Sanju, there is no main role. I said, they're all the same. He said, yeah, but that guy, Aju, I want to play that character. And I told him, I said, boss, don't start this. You'll say you want to play this. Then I cannot take 5 newcomers with you. Because they have to be equal in a sense. And this was not a story about boys. It was about men. So I said, yeah, no, it can't happen. And he said, then why do you want Nasir? I said, because, it's the older guy and this, that. And he just pointed to Amitji's bungalow. He said, take him, no. So I said, there you go. Are you stupid? I said, are you dumb? I've been out of work for so many years. My last 3 films have flopped. You're telling me to go and meet Amitabh Bachchan. He said, you don't have to meet him. I'll meet him. I said, Sanju, no. And I'll tell you another very incredible fact. So the script of Kante, I have gone to every big producer in the business. From a Vashu Bhagnani, who that time was very big, to Ramesh Taurani, Ganesh Jain, Ratan Jain, all the big names that time. I've gone and narrated the script to all of them. Each one of them rejected it, and each one gave me gyan, saying, Sanjay, you're a very talented director. You क्यों अपना time waste कर रहे हो? ये क्या picture है? 6 बुड्ढों की all the guys are 40 plus. ये picture में music का तो chance ही नहीं है. Music में humor नहीं आएगा, entertainment नहीं आएगा. ये क्या dry picture बना रहे हो? And I could not convince them that everything that you're saying is going to be the USP of this film. That is going to be highly stylized. It's going to have humor, but not your Shakti Kapoor, Kader Khan humor. I said that the humor is with the characters and everything. I said the music, I said, is going to be integral. And today, I don't want to, sound my own bugle or something, but Kante remains in the top 3 albums in the last 2-3 decades. So, but this they could not understand. And that is why I was compelled to start my own production house, so that I could make my film without being questioned, without being, constantly asked to explain myself. And Sanju came on board and he set up a meeting for me with Mr. Bachchan. And I was very nervous. I went and met him. First time I'd met him. And in the first narration, he heard me out. And there's a very strange thing about Mr. Bachchan. When he's listening to you, he will keep on listening, but he does not, he has no expression on his face. His mouth is open. He just sits like this. Literally. So he sat like that through my entire narration. Didn't even, hardly blinked his eyes. No reaction, no emotion, no laughter, nothing. And when it got over, those are like easily the worst 30-40 seconds of my life. Because I've finished my narration. He's sitting in front of me. He's just staring at me, emotionless. And I'm wondering, what is this man thinking? Did he like it or not, or this or that? And finally, I said, sir, so what do you think? And he goes, that full baritone. Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. I'm doing it. Oh man, you can't imagine, like your heart is like a free fall. Zoom, like I do right now. I said, oh my God. I said, okay. And he picked up the phone and he called Sanju. And he said, Sanju, I heard it and it's great. And I'm on. Man, I walked out of that house. My feet were not on the ground. I was like, I thought I was just floating. I somehow walked to my car. I opened it, sat. I drove away from his house because my car was parked right outside Jalsa. I drove a little further down and then I stopped and I composed myself. I said, did that really happen? No. And yeah, and then after that, that's how White Feather Films was launched. Initially, Sanjay Dutt and me were both partners in the company. And so yeah, Kante was our first film. We followed it up with Plan, Musafir, Zinda, Das Kahaniyan, Shootout at Lokhandwala. So with every film, we were I was at least trying to do something new to kind of, break that, break the barriers. And everybody would tell, and some films worked, some didn't, obviously. But at least I'm 100% sure that nobody can say, yeah, that was a really terrible film. So for example, a film like Zinda, it did not set the box office on fire, but it gave me my best reviews and, all of that. So yeah, and then Shootout happened, and then I had and then whatever, and then one film to the next, and that's just a way of life now. And the only time I took a break, I not took a break, but I remember I was shooting with my film called Jazba with Aishwarya Rai Bachchan. And in the making of that film, I happened to go to somebody's office for a location. And it turned out to be the office of this guy I knew. And he said, hey, you're here, no, you meet me and go have a cup of tea with me, have a cup of coffee. So I went into his room, sat down, and he says, I look after Hrithik Roshan's work. We're his managers and this and that. So, and I see a white color board over there. And it had the names of a list of directors' names. So I asked him, I said, what are these names doing here? And he says, well, these are the guys that we've lined up to meet Hrithik because Hrithik wants to do a film. He doesn't have a film. So I told him, I said, whatever, I gave him 2 galis and I said, you're a friend of mine. Why is my name not up there? He said, no, you're busy with Jazba, but you tell me if you have something. So I said, yeah, I've got something, but it's not a Hrithik Roshan film per se. Because when we say till at least before Kabil, Hrithik Roshan was like Dhoom, Jodha Akbar and Krish and all larger than life and, all of that. He was always this superstar. And I said, I just have this simple film about a blind man and who sets out on a thing of vendetta because of something wrong that happens to him. So while I was talking to him, this guy had already messaged Hrithik that I'm sitting with Sanjay and this and that. And then he shows me a message that tells Sanjay to meet me tomorrow. So I looked at him, I said, idiot, I'm still working. I'm working on the script. I'm shooting. Tu bola kal jaake hero ko milo. So I said, theek hai. And I went and met him the next day. And the meeting got delayed. So I started the narration of Kabil and I came up to interval. And at interval, I stopped. And I said, okay, rest when we meet later. I said, because we had only so much time. And he said, no, nothing doing, cancel all of the meeting, nothing. I want to hear it to the end. And he heard the whole thing. And he walked up and down his long living room. And he came back and he said, I'm doing the film. And I was like, okay. And he says, you're not happy? I said, of course I'm happy. He says, even my father's films I've never okayed in the first hearing. I take a lot of time and I take a lot of, but this just something has struck a chord and the way you've narrated to me, you've shown me what the film is going to look like. So I was like, fine. And the next day I got a call from Rakesh ji. And he said, Sanjay, come and meet me. I said, sure, sir. So I met him. So he said, me saying, तुमने क्या सुना है मेरे बेटे को? कल रात को उसने मेरे को phone किया, रो रहा था phone पे. बोला, Dad, and he's not stopped raving about it and this and that. You narrated to me. So I said, okay, sir. So I narrated the script to him. By the time I came to the last scene, I mean, see, these guys are very emotional. They don't hide their emotions or, whatever. So Rakesh was crying. He had tears coming down. I'm looking at him. I said, Sanjay, okay. He said, yeah, but this is fantastic. So he's saying, Sanjay, I just have one request. I said, yes, sir. He's saying, I want to produce this film. You can't make it in white feather. I want to make it in film craft. So, I mean, there's one thing in that sense, we're all old school. I mean, here's a senior producer, director. If you want something, you don't say no. So I said, ठीक है sir, मेरे को तो film बनाने से मतलब है. आप कर लो. But let me make my film. I said, you are also a director. You cannot be on my back. ये scene ऐसे करो या वैसा करो. He said, I will not even come to the set. And he never did. He only came on the first day to wish us. And one other day for some work he had, that's it. And he let me make my film. Yeah. And that's how Kabil happened. After Kabil, again, I don't know why I always somehow managed this gap between my films. For 2 years, I didn't do much because they wanted me to direct Krish 4. So we spent a year and a half writing Krish 4. And I was the lead writer on the film and all. And then suddenly Rakesh ji got diagnosed with, his cancer. So everything came to a halt till he got better. But I had already sat at home for 2 years, so I didn't know what to do next. But I already had the script of a film called Mumbai Saga, which is the current film that I've just finished, which I'm working on, which will release probably in December or Jan. So I started that film with John Abraham and Imran Hashmi, Sunil Shetty, Prateek Babbar, Kajal Anand, Gulshan Grover, a host of, and a whole eclectic cast. And that's based on a true story. And that's actually the story of how Bombay became Mumbai. And the shutting down of the mills and the nexus between the mill owners, the politicians, the underworld and the cops. Because still all these four did not come together. We would not have Phoenix. We would not have the whole of, the lower Parel stretch and all of that, which were all essentially mills. All of Bombay was mills. So that story based in the 80s and 90s. And yes, again, it's to do with the underworld. And, like I said, the nexus between these four people. So yeah, that's about it. Abhi aap pucho. So anybody, any questions? I can't hear anybody. Is it all muted or the?
Yeah, I think we're on mute.
Smita, you'll have to unmute everybody.
Huh. No, I guess you can unmute. Yeah, let's talk. Let's chat.
Unmute yourselves, guys.
I just heard somebody.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
How was it working with Sanjay Dutt for the first time? Knowing
It was really cool because, you know, I had worked with him as an assistant director for a few years. And see, you know, the thing is that when I became an assistant director, somehow the regular kids did not find it cool to go into the movies. So our generation, the kids, you know, when we were growing up, it was very clear. If you were smart, you did science and went for medical or engineering. And if you were not very smart, you went into commerce and tried to do CA. Yeah, so I mean that's so, and I ended up, but so when I became an assistant director also, I was one of the few directors, assistants who was fluent in English and all of that, and so somewhere, you know, we connected on that level. And then I was always heavily into music and all the other stuff which people were not into so much at that point of time, and those were the common interests that Sanju and me had, and that is how it was. And so working with him was. It was never a star. He was never a star for me. It was always Sanju, and it was always pretty cool and all of that. It still is the same.
Sanjay, one question about all this going on since last couple of weeks about industry and nepotism. What is your say on that?
My say on that is that it is complete and absolute bullshit. You know, everybody is trying to get their 2 minutes of fame out of this whole nonsense. It is a fantastic narrative that has been created to divert our attention. Because nepotism, if nepotism worked, you know, I can give you a list of really big star kids who are sitting at home for years, including they may have got that first entry easily. Of course, why not? You know, if tomorrow my son wants to be an assistant director also, the other person may be kinder to him. You know, he's Sanjay Gupta's son and the guy who's worked with me, whatever. You may get an entry, but that's about it. Nobody's going to make sure after that oh yeah, you keep on getting work and everything. So, and in any case, see, this whole natak and this whole debate started with the Sushant case. Okay, because first it was nepotism that killed him, then it was the movie mafia that killed him, then it was the drug mafia, then the movie drug mafia. The CBI comes in and the CBI comes and says that there's no hanky-panky. I mean, what? But let me tell you this, that including my own house, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, you know, staying because of this COVID, staying locked up in their house. They're 70 plus. So they're in Pune. And this was their non-stop entertainment for 2 months. And when I was talking to my mother-in-law, she's saying, "Ha, beta, but you know, we heard Akshay Kumar killed him because he wanted his PUBG game. Then, you know, he was given drugs. Then, you know, this." I said, "Mom, you've given me 5 different reasons for his death that you believe in." So it's just a narrative that has spun out of control. And now it's over. There was a time, and, you know, I don't watch anything on TV, on satellite. The only thing I watch is news. Even in news, I know there are certain channels which are completely bought over. So it's all bullshit and propaganda. But at least an NDTV or a India Today are still a little rational. But you could not. I mean, I was switching channels and I used to get angry. We went Khandala and I used to get angry. And my wife would say, "Calm down." I said, "No." I said, "Look at what the country is going through. We have a bloody pandemic. Our economy has crashed. We need a way out. We need smart people talking, or it is explaining to people, wear masks, do this, do that, take precautions, whatever." And I said, all that is going on is this soap opera on TV. Sushant Singh Rajput, and this and that, and who killed him, how they killed him, what they killed him. It's ridiculous, yeah. And we had the whole China issue. So yeah, I mean, my take is that this whole nepotism thing is absolute. Like I said, it can only maybe help you get that first step in. And fine. I'm a complete outsider as far as this film, the industry is concerned. I didn't know anybody. You know, I just randomly walked up to somebody and I worked really hard. And like me, there are scores of people here. तो किधर आता है ये सब?
Okay, can I ask a
Another
question? Sanjay,
Yes. Yeah.
what is your take on single screen cinema? Basically, I'm also part of the industry. We own New Excelsior Cinema. Have you seen
Right.
any movies in New Excelsior?
Of course, I've grown up watching movies in New Excelsior, buddy. From
So-
college, that's where we headed, the biggest screen.
Yeah, the Sholay was released in New Excelsior actually.
I know. No, it's always such a pleasure watching movies over there, man. That whole giant 70mm screen. So even the regular films looked like they were in 70mm.
So what is your take on this single screen cinemas and multiplex? When you as a producer release movies, do you have any, and do you get some thoughts? I mean, do you have
No,
any
yeah, buddy.
opinion on that?
No, I'll tell you something. If you go by the history of my movies, right from a Kante to Musafir to the Shootout series to Kabil, you know, in a way, my films have always fared well at both centers because there is enough commercial element in them and the music where the single screen guys enjoy because, you know, even the macho giri, the dialogue bazi and this and that. And at the same time, again, because of the music and the slick packaging, I have my the multiplex audience as well. You know, they also come in and they see ultimately good masala commercial cinema, which is not complete nonsense, is enjoyed by everybody in both screens. So in that sense, and if you ask me, my personal favorite, of course, is the single screen, boss. Whether it is there's Excelsior, there's Satyam, there's Gedi Galaxy, there's Chandan, or, again, Navbharat and whatever. I mean, that is the true joy of watching a film with 1,000 people, with 500, 700, 1,200 people together. That collective energy, the CT, the this. I mean, that is what feeds us. At least it feeds me as a filmmaker. I remember when Atish released, I went to, so Atish, the main theater was Metro.
Correct.
But because I was living in Bandra, I first went to Gaiety in the 12 o'clock show. And I still remember that I was standing in the aisle, it was house full, the title sequence started. And when it came directed by, I just started crying. I had tears I was just standing alone in one corner and crying. I couldn't believe it, this is my film. And that crowd cheering and all that. And in the interval, I left from there and made it in time for the 3 o'clock show at Metro, at Maratha Mandir, not Metro. Maratha Mandir was the main theater. And boss, come on, we know what Maratha Mandir is. The crowd of Maratha Mandir, and you give them a commercial film and they go ballistic. And there was, and Atish was one of the few films in its time which came out on that 4-track stereo. And I still remember this one thing about Maratha Mandir, that it had marble floors on the stalls as well as balcony, and it had no carpeting. Now, carpeting in a theater is very important because it absorbs the sound.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't. Maratha Mandir had speakers and the sound bouncing off, the floors, and you could just hear everything everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, is it here? We've spent hours and hours in the mixing room trying to get every nuance right and this and that. But yeah, people are enjoying it. Absolutely. So yeah, that's my take on single screens. I don't think we can survive without them. And having said that, this pandemic and where it's going to end and what it's going to do, especially for the single screens, is a very, very scary thought, boss. I mean, you've got Excelsior. God bless you. How you're managing, how you manage. I mean, that is like, nobody can answer that question.
So at the moment the theater is shut, so they're losing money last 6 months.
Obviously, and the next 6 months are not looking very happy either. Yeah. The thing is, even when, I've got a film on release and we are still debating whether we go to an OTT platform or we wait. And I've gone and made a really commercial, fun action drama, dialogues and, big heroes and that whole thing. It's purely designed for the big screen. Even when I shoot, I never shoot thinking, "Ye picture PVR mein kaise lagegi?" It is always, how will the crowd in Chandan react? How is it going to look on the Excelsior screen? And how is the Maratha Mandir crowd going to cheer? That is something that keeps us going. And if that is going to come under a shadow of doubt about its very existence, because I'll tell you something, I may be wrong, but just today, there has been a communication from the government of India, which has basically told the automobile sector The basic thing is that go F yourself. Tumko jo karna hai karo. We are not giving you any incentives. We are not giving you any, go look after yourself. So something as important and big as an auto sector has clearly been told that go do what you want. I have no expectations from them for cinema. They have not come forward and said, you know what, okay, aapka 6 mahine ka electricity bill maaf kar do. In the middle of the pandemic, they've increased the property taxes by 20%. Where else? Yeah, but so it's very scary that how will these theaters survive?
A lot of people have lost their jobs as well.
And people are losing their lives. Yeah,
From the industry.
5 days back, the IMAX operator killed himself. The main IMAX operator who's been loading the reels and everything, yeah, he couldn't handle it. He committed suicide because no salary, no nothing. And so this, I mean, I don't know. It's a very bleak scenario. It is as far as we are concerned. And like I said, I mean, we were the first to be shut down, and we will be the last allowed to open. So that is another disadvantage. I mean, it's a natural disadvantage we face.
Where did you shoot that Atish scene where that, on the bike, there was a song, all the...
that song, Dil Dil Dil. That also has a very funny story behind it, yeah. So we shot that song in Mauritius.
Wow.
And I had gone to Mauritius because, like the climax of Atish, I wanted those real machine guns which are firing the real round. Because in Hindi movies, on our sets, you got these little Sten gun things and you go pat, 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 and that it was, and we did not have computer graphics then to add flames and all of that. So somehow I convinced my producer and we went to Mauritius and we shot. So we shot the climax, we shot a couple of action scenes, all looking very slick, a lot of helicopter aerial shots and all of that. And at the end of the schedule came the time where we had to shoot the songs. And Saroj Khan came there as a choreographer. And the first song we were shooting was with Sanjay Dutt and Ravina Tandon. And the shoot was in this park. And Saroj Khan set up the first shot where there was this pond and there were geese and swans in it. Okay, and around that, Sanjay and Ravina walking, holding hands and singing Kate Hum Kasam. And I was standing at a distance with my cameraman watching this. And when they started the music, the shot started. And I just looked at my cameraman and I said, I'm paused. What is this nonsense? So he's like, what? I said, what is that guy doing? I said, I built this whole character. He's wearing bloody Armani suits and he's doing action and fighting these guns and this and that. And I said, next to bloody pond, he's singing this stupid love song. I said, my film is over. And I was actually finding it funny and I was laughing. And Sanju noticed that. And then he later, in between shots, he's saying, what are you standing and laughing over there? I said, you're looking so ridiculous. He said, looking stupid. I said, this is not the character. What are we doing? And then he told me, he said, you have to put the songs. You can't get away with the song. That's how it works. And I was like, fine. And 3 days that we shot that song. And by the third day, I was very frustrated. Because I said, no, boss, this is not. I mean, ye kya hai? Ye nahi ho sakta hai. And then we had to shoot this other song called Dil 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 with Atul Agnihotri and Karishma Kapoor. And something in me just snapped. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go shoot this song the way I want to do it. It's going to be random. And if you kind of go back into movie history and whatever, you will see that that particular song from Atish is the first Hindi movie song which was cut in TV style, as was later came to be called. Because there was no continuity. Costumes were jumping. You were cutting fast randomly from a bike to this, to that, and all of that, the speedboats and the blue waters and all of that. I said, yeah, I just want the song to look good. I want that energy. I don't want them choreographed by Saroj Khan doing those steps and all that. So that is how that song happened.
I think a lot of your movies were in Metro, if I remember.
Yes, yeah. But that was because of the Sippies also. Yeah, but even Kante also was Metro. Main theatre was Metro in town.
Because Sippy had a little tussle with Excelsior. That's what my dad says. Because Sholay was released for 3 weeks and it was in Minerva. And we had another contract after 3 weeks. So GPCP had got very upset. You can't remove the movie.
The film, yeah.
Sholay. So, but then politicians got involved. But my dad said nothing doing. We have got a commitment. So he got angry. He said, how much is your theatre worth? We'll buy it off. So my dad told him off. And I think after that, there was a little...
but that was
typical.
typical.
Many of his movies in Excelsior.
Yeah, that was typical CP Sahab, but He was quite the bully.
No, but you can't.
Netflix Prime Video giving competition to Bollywood.
No, sir, they're not giving competition to us. They're giving livelihood to us. Yeah, actually today, if it was not for the OTT platforms, including Z, including Wood, 80% of the film industry would be sitting at home with no work. Because the film business is very restricted, it's very limited. You see, thanks to multiplexes and everything, like even today, after giving 7 successful films, an Ayushmann Khurrana film cannot last in Excelsior in the first week. You know, the big crowd. So you need the big ticket films. And the big ticket films are what? We've hardly got 5 or 6 superstars here, which are going to open those numbers. So so a lot of the people who are making the mid-level to small budget films suddenly did not have outlets, and they did not. I mean, where would they release their films? And it became impossible for them also. See, making a film in the last 5 years or 10 years became very easy. Between 2 to 6 to 8 to 10 crores, you can make a film, but you need 12 crores to release that film, yeah, with P&A and with the theater rentals and with the all the other costs. So the whole thing was कि picture बना तो लेंगे, release कैसे करेंगे? So a lot of these people were completely out of work for a long time, and now that these guys have come in and they want more content, and they've got the money, they've got the budgets, they've come in with millions and billions of dollars here. So they've actually given a whole new livelihood to us, to not me per se, but to the technicians, to all the the cameramen and the directors and everybody. So it's actually a good thing that has happened. But the war between an OTT platform like Netflix and Amazon and Prime and theaters is worldwide. That is worldwide. I mean, internationally also, like in France, if your film has come on Netflix, they don't release it in the theaters. They say, "No, get lost. We will not release it. You come to us first and then go there." So that has been an ongoing conflict. Even in America, it was the same. It's only now during the pandemic that where they've made peace with each other and said, "Okay, you know what? We'll run the first 14 days in the theater and then give it to you immediately." See, because again, how are the producers also going to survive? I understand the theaters are not surviving. Today, for say example, a film like mine, which has a 53 crore budget, okay, and with payoffs at the end. Now, and I've spent most of that money, and I'm sitting at home for the last 6 months. There is a cost of capital. And how long will I hold? Okay, if you tell me that, yes, you know what, March 1st, theaters will be open, or December 31st, theaters will be open, I can say, okay. But what I'm looking into is completely indefinite. I have absolutely no idea. So how long will we, I have a studio. So it's in my contract to take all creative calls. But all the exploitation calls, the marketing business calls are to be taken by Bhushan Kumar at T-Series. वो तो बोलेगा ना, सर कभी तक पकड़ के बैठूंगा, मेरे को तो मेरा पैसा चाहिए वापस.
I just want to, like, in 90s, I remember movies like Dilwale, movies like they used to run for one year and it was continuous houseful. But now it's like in 2-3 days, it's like over. Those times.
Yeah, but you see in the 90s. Yeah, but in the 90s you had 10 or 15 screens in the whole of Bombay. Today you've got 200 screens in the city. Every multiplex is showing 6 shows a day. And they've got multiple screens and this and that. So what is our capacity even of a successful film? It's only 30%.
Correct.
In multiplexes. A hit film occupies only 30% of the maximum screening time. The others are even less. See, from Monday onwards, you go walk into any multiplex, even for a Dabang, or one of the big Salman Khan films also, the multiplex is empty. It only fills up in the night shows. Like plexes like PVR and all have a scheme like Monday to Thursday. The ticket rate's also half in the daytime and all of that, because they want more people to come in those. So that's when the students go. I mean, that's how it is.
So, Sanjay, hi, this is Payal here. Hi, I'm going to ask you something very different from all this. There's this portrait that's hanging on the green wall behind. I'm very curious to know whose portrait have you put there and why?
This one here?
Yes.
That is Steven Spielberg. And So there is this artist from LA. Okay, his name is pretty complicated. I can't. But on my birthday, my nieces gifted me a set of 6 of these, 6 different filmmakers, and most of them were my favorites, including David Fincher, him, George Lucas, and others. So these are illustrations done by that artist, and what he's done is that he's put the face of the director, and then within that are iconic images from his different films. And like in our movies, you've got the credit plate and all the posters. So he's put a little credit plate over here, which is the name of, I'll take this closer, take a look at it, which is the name of the films. See this. And if you see the thing, you can see Raiders, you can see Jaws, you can see Jurassic Park. All of that is there. And this is all his movies. So yeah, that's... Yes.
So I have a different question to ask you away from movies.
Sure.
You spoke about your passion for music.
Yeah.
Can I ask what genres?
All genres. I don't have other. I can tell you what I don't like. I don't like hard rock. I don't like acid. I don't like metal. But apart from that, I love every genre of music, including you name it, and I've just got everything here. I listen to a lot of it. About exactly, I would say in the mid millennials, around 2004, 2005 is when your MP3 started.
Yeah.
And the single source. I mean, today most people when they're listening to music are on your little boom boxes or whatever. In that sense, I'm very, very conventional. I'll show you something else.
You have an analog setup
here in my study. On the extreme left and extreme right has 2 speakers.
Okay.
So, and right here next to me, I have a NAD designated stereo amplifier.
Okay. Now we're talking.
Because when I want to listen to music, then I want proper stereo, high resolution. The
Absolutely.
works.
And it's all LPs?
Huh? No, not
LPs. Is it all LPs?
Sorry?
Are you playing on LPs or are you playing on CDs?
No, I don't play on LPs. I still have my massive collection of CDs. I was never really into LPs because by the time I was in college is when CDs had just started.
Okay.
And also when I was in college, I as an assistant director, you hardly made any money. So I supported myself I used to deal in electronics. And this is the time in the late 80s and early 90s when, your surround sound had just started.
Yeah.
Dolby surround and those Pioneer amps. So I used to go and set up these systems in people's homes. And I used to also make my own speakers. So I always had a passion for that. So yeah, and even this house where I'm at right now, when I saw this house, thrice I rejected this house because it was really big. I was alone. I was divorced. I didn't have any family. So I just came and I said, what am I going to do? It's a big home. So finally, when I decided to buy it, the first thing I did was I hired a professional architect. And I said, look, forget about the interiors, forget everything else. I said, I just need you to do structural changes. I said, this house has 9 bedrooms. I want to bring it down to 3. I said, I want 1 master bedroom, 1 guest bedroom, and 1 bedroom for my study. Apart from that, the first thing we did was broke down the entire ground floor and created a theater. And I have a designated theater, which is just the carpet size of it is 40 feet by 20 feet.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I've got a whole wall. I've got the projection. I was one of the first people from Dolby itself, where I've got Dolby Atmos in my theater. It's completely, it's all computerized and this and that and everything. So the works in there, 3D and, the works. So yeah, that's been my passion, yeah. And so from there, when you are such an avid music listener, when you enjoy music, when you get the chance to create music, boss, you cannot imagine a bigger high. It's very simple. It's like you love movies and you get a chance to create movies. So for me, the making of music is one of the most satisfying parts of my job. And literally, I sit in this room. This is my study, and I do my meetings over here. My music directors come here, and I just play music to them. I say, I listen to this song. I want something like this. You listen to this guitar coming in, or look at this vibe of the sax over here, or look at the strings, or the brass section, or hear this rhythm. You kind of, and then they work on it and everything. So yeah, and that is why, I mean, to me, music is very, very integral. And I don't do it purposefully, but I do advise all other filmmakers. I said, boss, you need to hone your talents as far as music is concerned. The greatest of filmmakers, we've forgotten their movies, but we never forget their music. And again, even if the movies were not very good, but the songs were fantastic, we remember those songs. So for me, in a sense, music is eternal.
I asked you this because I'm exactly the opposite. I collect a GB of music every day.
I
listen to the digital version. It's convenience for me.
Yeah, no. Even now, I'm listening on the digital versions only. But my iPad is here. I've got this whole all my hard drives. So all my music currently is digital, but I'm mostly mine are all FLAC files.
And you're playing it out of you're playing it through a D2A converter as well. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Anybody else? So you all tell me, what else do you guys do? Yeah, your Bayview, Bombay Bayview. So this is in and around Radio Club, is it?
We are basically a South Bombay club, and most of our members are in this area, like Leapinsi Road, Malabar Hill, Beach Candy. Also, we have members in the suburbs as well. But 80% of our members are on this side of town.
Yeah. So strangely, I got stuck. I booked a house in town in a building which was under construction, very fancy to begin with. So it's on the 50th floor and everything. And it's just because of my work, because I mean, I've kind of grown up in town. All my friends are still there and everything. And so I'm in that sense, I'm a bit of a racist where it comes to South Bombay and this side. And I definitely feel that, kids growing up in South Bombay have a very definite edge. There's a different, it's a completely different vibe. And I really wish for my children to have that. I don't want them, they may be going to the fanciest school over here, but there is just, I can't put my finger to it. And earlier, I mean, I know my friends in Bandra, and I've lived and, grown up in Bandra all my life. But, it would be, townies, they are snobs. I said, bhai, snob nahi hai. It is not that, I said, it is just I don't know. I don't know how to put it. But yeah, I've always been inclined. And so I booked a really fancy apartment on the 50th floor of this building coming up in town called Minerva, which is overlooking the racecourse and then the whole view. And I'm on the 50th floor over there. But well, we're in the 7th year running and nowhere near completion.
But well, now world is a small place, so now it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, it still does. Like I'll tell you something. I was in a conversation with Sunil Shetty, and he's telling me, he's saying, Goops, and his office is just down the road from my house, and he comes here very often, and this and that and everything. And he just told me a simple thing. He says, after 6 o'clock, or not 6 o'clock, he said after 8 o'clock, he said town is a different world. He said there is no traffic, nothing, open roads, this, that. You can just from here to there, no overcrowding, no. There isn't an infrastructure over there, which kind of, except of course for Marine Drive. And then you've got the Taj on that side where you will get a congregation of people. Otherwise, it's even designed in a way, it's planned in a way that it is, the residential parts are really residential, and you will not have nonsense in Beach Candy, and you will not have Beach Candy mein to chalo hai wo bakra, but when you're in Altamont Road or you're in Leapinsi Road or all of that, it's just residential areas are still neat and clean and residential, which they've not managed to do in the rest of the city. Definitely not.
Hi Sanjay, my name is Jatin and I have a question for you.
Sure.
This business of movie making, Hollywood versus Bollywood. So what do you think right now is the difference in terms of, the process of making movies? Is it more structured now, or it is, the way it used to be once upon a time?
No. It's far more structured. But see, there can never be a Hollywood versus Bollywood debate because for the simple fact that Hollywood is far more evolved. Yeah. We've got decades to go to match up. You see, and Hollywood has the world market. We have only the Indian diaspora market. We also have the market world over. But it's just the Indians who are going to go watch our movies. So whether it's the Chinese, Koreans, or anywhere else, or Germans, Australians, Canadians, they are not going and watching Hindi movies, but they will watch Avengers or they will watch English films. So English films per se, the market is really massive. So they've got the budgets and they are far more evolved. And I remember, I'll tell you a personal incident. So when I was making Kante and I decided to shoot the film in LA, and I just had the way the film was, and that was always what I had intended and visualized. So I said, this film is about 6 guys. So I am actually the first filmmaker that actually went to LA with only my 6 actors. Literally. And we did not take, not that the technicians here are not good, but we chose the complete crew from Los Angeles. So every day after shooting, we would come back to the hotel and they would go home. And then they would come the next day. So with that experience of shooting with that crew, and they had a completely different style of functioning. And that style is what we have adapted in Bombay after since 2004-5, around then. But I did that in 2001, and that it was life-changing. So yeah, in that sense, I mean, even their way of working, their way of functioning, all of that is way too advanced. Yeah, we have a lot to catch up on, unfortunately.
But it's getting better because all these international studios, they are all now in India. So Fox is producing, a lot of movies. Disney was there. Now, of course, it is exited. So I thought maybe with their coming, there could be a higher level of professionalism.
No. See, ultimately, See, across all these studios, like even for example, a Fox. But Fox is still being run by Vijay Singh over here, or was. Now that they've kind of just shelved the whole thing, and I don't think Fox would even be coming back. So all these studios that came here, none of them, they did not send executives from there telling them that go show them how to do things, how things are to be done. So we did not get the infrastructure on how to do things. You just give me a 10-second break, please.
Smita, why didn't you invite him tomorrow? Market day event to him and tell him join him to see what Ruti does.
Yeah.
There's more than 100 projects on show. Why didn't you invite him? Give it a try.
Yeah, we can do that. I did mention about it before we started the meeting.
Okay.
Smita, maybe you can tell him a little more about that, what it is tomorrow to excite him a little. And ask him if he...
Just ask him something about the actors.
Yes,
Who's the most disciplined actor? Who's the most indisciplined actor on the sets?
See, the most disciplined actor by far and without, like on a scale of 1 to 10, or rather everything is Mr. Bachchan. So there is nobody more disciplined than him, always on time and all of that. And on set also extremely, courteous, polite, disciplined. Once he has agreed and given into the director's vision, he will never question it. So that was, and again, I'll tell you one other thing is that most of the actors and everybody, the films, it's a director's medium, they say, but it is driven by the director, and it's up to the director how much shit he's going to take from the actors. There are a lot of them who are still, new, scared, and they're submissive. So there you will have the actors walking all over them. If the actor is not 100% convinced, otherwise the actor is just going to shut up and say, okay, you know what, this guy knows what he's doing. I better shut up and do as he says. So having said that, but then again, because I'm from the 90s, so there is a remarkable difference of work ethic and professionalism and discipline, which was missing in the 90s, which is very much there today. But also what it's done is it's taken away a lot of the personal interaction. So now actor comes on the set, he's ready, he'll do his job and he will leave. exactly. But of course, 90s, we had the bad boys. Sanjay Dutt was a bad boy. Aditya Pancholi was a bad boy. Even Saif Ali Khan was a bad boy. So they would all come and go as they please. But once on set, then it was at least with me, it was a very no-nonsense arrangement with them. And then I think after Mr. Bachchan, I think the other two actors that are tremendously professional are Hrithik Roshan and John Abraham. And also Imran Hashmi. I just worked with him. It's my first film with him. Man, these guys are on top of their game. They come on the set. They are prepared. They've done their lines. They know the scene. 9 o'clock shift, 9 o'clock, they're ready with makeup, waiting for you to call them. So yeah, in that sense, I mean, yeah, these are the guys who, and even with the actresses, the drama was there in the 90s with the Raveena Tandon and the Karishma Kapoor, Shilpa Shetty. Oh, boss. They used to be, but not anymore. Not anymore at all. It's pretty clear cut now. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but the one thing I miss in the last 10, 15 years is the absence of those villains that we had. The Shakti Kapoor and Gulshan Grover and Kader Khan and, Amrish Puri. So we knew the bad guy, you enjoyed the films for them also, yeah. That breed, suddenly it's just gone.
You're getting Gulshan Grover back in your next movie.
Oh yes, absolutely. He's a dear friend. He just stays right across from my house. So we're in the same complex. And I've known him now he was there in Atish. So yeah, 26, 27 years now, yeah. It's been a while. Yeah, you were saying?
We miss Prem Chopra.
Oh, everybody misses him. There's Prem Chopra, Ajit, Ranjit, Sudhir. I mean, come on, yeah. These guys were that's what we've grown up on. See, that's what I meant. There were these iconic villains and, they came and that we knew, there's no surprise. These are the bad guys. Like Pran Saab. Yeah. So we knew it. Yeah? They're going to come and they're going to be nasty and we're going to have fun. And every film they're going to have something, unique that they're going to bring to the table. I remember my favorite also. I was too young then, but yes, even Premnath for that matter. They were fantastic. Last I remember Premnath is from Cars, Sir Judah, where he keeps knocking the glass, communicating, and the guy who understands and says, Sir Judah kehte hain.
Sir, we also have one Sir Judah in our club, sir. He resembles Mr. Premnath a lot. And he's the one who invited you as a speaker, Mr. Karthik Desai.
Ah, you've been on my screen right through. I forgot Advases, you and Smita. Yeah. Yeah. Both sir hai. Similarity to hai.
KD.
You'll have to unmute your...
somebody right in the beginning was asking him whether, he can delegate things off. I still remember the kind of a perfectionist that you were. I remember this incident very clearly. We were doing a shoot after the office was done. Okay? For that, we needed your books and your videos to be moved out, the DVDs, to be juggled around. So his managers literally took a photograph sequentially of every book on the shelf and every DVD, because they were like, you don't know if one book shifts out here, he will identify it. And Gauti actually put out there and took a picture of every book and every video.
Yeah, he put it himself back in place after the shoot. I have to put it back in place.
Yeah. No, here also, I mean, because you can't see it. So I've got all my books over here and everything. And there's a particular order. So the thing is, even this house was shut for 6 months because we moved. Yeah. So when we had to move back, I called my manager and said, call the Urban Club guys and tell them to do the deep cleaning of the whole house. So they did everything. But when they came to this room, is when my manager said, when you're going into study, I need to be there. So he came here, he stood, and these Urban Club guys are really good. Like, they take each book and clean it and put it back. Yeah. So he said, no, whatever you remove has to go back in its place. Because see, that I call it, there is a method to my madness. Yeah. So even the way all those books are, to a layman, they will just be random books. but I've arranged them in a certain way. So when I meet them, it's much easier for me. And same goes with my films. Yeah. So yeah, that I'm pretty anal. Yeah. And yeah, quite. I had this. There's a word, no, compulsive something.
An OCD.
Yeah, OCD. Yes, complete. And my wife is just the opposite. So
it's always the case. Why?
Yeah. No, absolute opposite. I'm telling you. So when I made this house, and so when I was designing my own bedroom, and it was my childhood fantasy, yeah, that one day I will be rich enough to afford a really nice big bedroom with this giant bed, and like in my mind, it was always like it should be like a hotel suite. So there's nice plush seating on one side, and there's a bed on one side, and the big giant TV, all that. So I did all of that, and then we got married, and then suddenly somewhere that whole suite is gone. It is just a basic bedroom now with just hajar saman lying around everywhere. So that's okay.
So something that we do, Sanjay ji, I wanted to just tell you. So, so we are Rotarians, you know, this Rotary Club of Bombay Bayview. So our district is District 3141. So our district has about 100 clubs, and we are one of them. And tomorrow we are having one of its kind virtual exhibition. This is for Golden Heart CSR and GGC Conclave, which our club is privileged of hosting along with the. So what is going to be happening there is it's like a virtual exhibition where you can actually walk through the entire exhibition, and all the projects who want CSR funding are going to be exhibiting over there.
Okay.
Potential.
I'm sorry, but what is CSR? It stands for?
So that's corporate social responsibility. So every corporate company has to give part of their profits towards community service, towards yeah. So the potential donors, corporates are going to be visiting that exhibition, and are going to be displayed there, and there could be a potential partnership happening between the clubs and the donors.
Wow. Yeah.
So I would like to invite you to visit tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. What time is it?
So there is a plenary session at 11 o'clock, which is on Zoom, and then they're going to be inaugurating the exhibition around 11:30, 11:45. So I shall be with the Zoom link also, and also the link to the exhibition. So please
do. I'd love to, yeah.
Visit.
I'd love to. Absolutely. Super.
We are privileged.
Anything more? I just have to kind of.
South Mumbai so much, you should join our club.
100%.
Call us more often.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly. Just let this whole bloody pandemic thing get over. I'm sure you have, you guys meet regularly and everything.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, I'd love to be there for one of those, just catch up personally.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
I really don't know how soon and when is it going to happen. It's like an indefinite thing right now. We really don't know when is it really going to be normal back.
Yeah. No, but I'll tell you something. I want to share something about COVID. Which is I've personally just gone through the whole process. So what happened was that we were in Khandala, very safe, very sound. We became a community over there. A lot of other people who had villas and friends, and so we would meet often throughout the whole pandemic. I know what you all went through over here, but life was very sorted over there, because there are huge homes, the gated community. We could go for walks, go into the mountains, all of that, everything. In spite of all that, 2 weeks back, my wife woke up one day and said, I've lost my taste and smell, and I was like, shit. So we immediately called the doctor. We got swabs done. And we were a family of 4 and a staff of 3 over the 7 people in the house. All 7 got tested. And apart from me and the gardener, everybody tested positive. My wife, my 2 kids, my maid, as well as my cook.
Okay.
And then, of course, we immediately got in touch with doctors. I had to move out of the house. So me and the gardener, we moved out. I moved to the Farias because it was next door. And they self-quarantined at home. We started their treatment and everything. So, there's this whole tamasha going on everywhere where they come and put those thermometers and everything and all of that. Throughout the whole, they finished 14 days yesterday. So officially, now no more masks also at home. So my kids and my maid, for all 14 days, did not even sneeze. They did not even cough. Nothing. They were asymptomatic right through. My cook, only on the first day was unwell. When we started his Fabi flu, he was absolutely fine. My wife was fine. By the time we did the second test, most of them were out of it. Medication is very simple. But exactly 1 week after testing positive, my doctors insisted on certain tests that my wife asked her to do, blood test. And she did that. And in the night, the reports came and my doctor friends told me, just be mentally prepared. We may have to take her into the hospital because there's something called the D-dimer level. He said, that's gone up. He said, fine. And last Friday, I brought her to Bombay. I sent my kids to Pune. And we had to admit her to Nanavati. She was there for 4 or 5 days. And no symptoms whatsoever. Nothing. She was absolutely normal. And then the doctors treated her, everything, and she's out. Absolutely, touch wood, fine. It will still take some time to fully recover once that has happened. So the point I'm trying to make is that it is not as scary as it has been made out to be. Definitely not. Yes, if you have pre-existing conditions, medical conditions, it complicates matters. But the doctors have it completely under control now because now they know what they're treating. And the new cornerstone in treating COVID is steroids. And that's the immediate treatment they start you on. The minute your levels are going a little haywire, they put you onto steroids. And that's it. It takes care of it, boss. And by then, and now I don't have to worry about my family. They're already planning their holiday trips and everything. Because once you've got it, the antibodies are there. Of course, you take your basic precautions in public, but they're out of it. So I'm just trying to say that it is scary. It's very scary when we have family that is 60 plus. It's very scary for them because it can get complicated. But otherwise, and especially for the younger people, boss, it's nothing to be scared of. They've got it. The doctors know. See, the first 3 months, what were we looking at? The doctors were treating everybody with the lung, they can't breathe. It was a breathing, SARS, they were calling it. And now, if you talk to the doctors who are on the front, that is their last stage. That is stage 4, when it hits your lungs. So you're already in deep shit. And they were starting their treatment over there. Now they start their treatment when it's just in your mouth and they don't let it go down. So they can prevent it. So it is, and eventually it is going to happen to everybody. You're not going to, nobody's going to escape it.
That's true.
It will find its way to you. Just imagine when on the 15th of March, there were like 4 cases. And today there are 50 lakh cases in 6 months. So I just wanted to share this. I mean, it was a personal thing, but that it kind of gives us a little more confidence that, okay, we know we are living in terrible times. I don't think anybody of us was prepared for something like this or expected something like this. But anyway, all the best, everybody. Be safe. I hope your families, everybody's safe from this.
One last thing, Mr. Gupta, we would like to. It's like we've got a request from all our members, and it's very visual and sudden and unanimous. We would love you to have an honor as an honorary member of our club, and it would be a real privilege to all of us. You would be a member of our club.
It would be an honor. It would be an honor for me. Absolutely, it would be an honor for me. I would love to be.
Sure.
I'm glad you offered. I would have asked.
So seriously. Sanjay, it's been such a wonderful evening chatting with you in such an informal way. It'll be a privilege if you be our honorary member.
No, I'm very serious. It'll be my honor. So our basis, please, whatever paperwork that needs to be done. I'm more than happy. Really, it would be an honor.
Let me add to this. We were the top 3 clubs few years back in the world.
Wow.
We are one of the top clubs in Bombay. So it's a pleasure for us.
So yeah, definitely would be a proud moment for me to be part of it, buddy.
Great. So we'll take this forward.
Yeah, please take this forward.
Thank you for the wonderful evening. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, guys. It's been wonderful talking to you all. and it's been a great evening. I could still go on, but it's just dinner time for my kids, so I need to, get up there because my wife is still recovering. So, and they're 7 and 9, so I just have to. Thoda late ho gaya aaj.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Again, once again, it was wonderful. Thank you for having me over, and looking forward to being a part of your family.
On behalf of the Rotary Club of Bombay Bayview, I sincerely thank you, Mr. Sanjay Gupta, for having such a hearty and a light-hearted conversation in such an informal way with us. We truly enjoyed your address, your informative informative ways, which was truly entertaining. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. See you guys soon. Bye bye.
And also
wish your family well soon.
Yeah.
Tejal, can we have the secretary?
Attendance for today has been 32 logins. The next club meeting is the Mumbai Meri Jaan Fellowship on Sunday, the 20th September. And all are requested to attend the plenary session of the district CSR seminar hosted by our club. The details of the same will be shared by Smita later today. Thank you.
Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you. Lovely speaker meeting, and congratulations for our first honorary member of the Visionary Year.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, Katie. Thank you for the idea, for the thought.
Congratulations to and thanks to Varmesis and
Very difficult to get hold of.
Actually, they're rocking it since a week, huh?
Yes.
We have Anumani coming up next. So that will be again, we will make him also honorary.
In November. Yeah, don't disclose. That's secret.
Yes.
Sorry.
So thank you very much, and really nice, very nice meeting. It was so informal and so nice.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely to chat with him.
Chalo, bye guys. I'm just leaving somewhere. Bye.
Guys, everybody please sign up for the symposium and please attend tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, and then for the fellowship.
Yes. Bye. See you
Bye.
guys.
Bye. See you all. Bye-bye.